Welcome to episode number 5 of the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. New numbers have just come in from the Global Wellness Institute, and wellness real estate has nearly doubled since 2017 and is now valued at $275 billion. Forward-thinking developers are creating communities that are rooted in wellness. And today I have special guests Kristen, Maher, and Amaya Genaro from Rancho Mission Viejo, a wellness lifestyle community in Orange County, California. At Rancho Mission Viejo, their community allows residents to get closer to nature and neighbors, with all the elements to grow and thrive. RanchLife brings everyone together in the best possible ways. Each of their residential villages, parks, pools, clubhouses, sports fields, community farms, schools, and retail spaces share the same goal: to encourage and enrich their sense of community. Kristen is Senior VP in Community Development. She's a licensed architect and is currently responsible for overall urban planning and community design. She manages a design team that is responsible for all landscape, parks, amenities, design guidelines, design review, and residential product prototyping and development. Amaya is VP of Community Service. Her focus is on disciplines from amenity planning, lifestyle services, transportation, and programming. Under her direction, Rancho Mission Viejo is bringing to life a community that challenges the status quo by integrating ranch neighborhoods exclusive to 55-plus residents and all-age neighborhoods with an overlay of ageless amenity design and programming. As a real estate professional, wellness real estate is a huge opportunity for you to grow your knowledge, your network, and even your reach. Imagine the insightful and engaging conversations you can have about what is going on the industry today. There has never been a better time like now to talk about these new and exciting developments in real estate. Be the first to talk about them and position yourself as a leader that you're meant to be. So if you're curious to know about these new trends, the Global Wellness Institute says there are more than 2,300 wellness projects worldwide, up from 740 just a few years ago. So you're going to want to stay tuned to hear more about this incredible new community. Let's grow. Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast, where we explore a unique strategy no one is talking about that will enable you to engage more people with authentic conversations about your business more often. And it's called Wellness Real Estate. Not sure what that is or how it can help you as an agent? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. In fact, wellness real estate is growing so rapidly that it is projected to be nearly $870 billion by 2027. I'm Sheila Alston, and I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Healthy Home Media, where I help agents all over the country leverage this new trend in the industry to spark new conversations that will get people to listen to you and notice your brand. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels without any leads or sales to show for it, then stay tuned. I guarantee this podcast is not like any you've heard before. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Okay, well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on here. I've got Kristen and Amaya. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. I've just talked a little bit about you guys and about Rancho Mission Viejo, but maybe you could just let us know what makes Rancho Mission Viejo such a unique place to live.
Rancho Mission Viejo has been building homes and communities for over 60 years now. The ranch was originally almost 200,000 acres, and it really started into development in the early 60s when the freeway from Los Angeles finally came south through Orange County and hit the very north part of the ranch. It finally touched the ranch, and that's when the family, Tony Moiso, said, hey, we have a great opportunity here to start developing our land, and we've been building communities for 60 years now.
Wow. Well, so that's way before wellness lifestyle communities. I've even coined the term.
Yeah. So we're a historic cattle ranch, and the ranch has been in the O'Neill Avery Moiso family for over a century. Today, there's still cattle on the ranch, which is very unique in Southern California. And we have lemons and avocado orchards surrounding our communities.
Wow.
So life at the ranch has always really started with the land. Our villages are surrounded by open space with rolling hills, creeks, and canyons. It's a really natural environment, and Rancho Mission Viejo is a beautifully unique way to live and to actually raise your family in Southern California.
Yeah, and I mean, probably just like you said, the land is what kind of has helped you determine the mission or the values of what you wanted your community to be. And so wellness is kind of a new trending term, but it sounds like that's just has been the root of your development ever since the 60s. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes.
A lot of what we've shared, Sheila, is kind of why we do what we do. So our inspiration really comes from the land, and it's connecting people with our greatest asset. And Chris portrayed a beautiful backdrop of the ranch, which is actually 23,000 acres, and 75% is preserved as natural open space. So we kind of tout that as our green screen to wellness, if you will. But the real name of that open space conservancy is the Nature Reserve at Rancho Mission Viejo. And we really try to connect our residents not only to one another, but to the land as well. And there's a quote that's been passed down through from the generations from Tony's grandmother. She's the family matriarch, Marguerite Daisy O'Neill. And she always said, take care of the land and the land will take care of you. So we really strive to cultivate that culture of care with our residents, not only through the nature reserve of taking care of the land, but also through taking care of one another. And I think two other unique attributes to Rancho Mission Viejo is our breakthrough model of intergenerational living. We actually integrated age-qualified housing, 55 plus housing, and all-age housing, so all generations could live and thrive together, and they could also be there at different stages of their lives and in different neighborhoods and come together when they want to and if they want to. And then we have one other social overlay that's supported by our community services organization, which is RanchLife, and that provides the social fabric of the community.
Yeah, and I think there's never been a time where we've realized how important social connection is than this year. Really, and I felt so bad for the elder population just because if they have been out on their own, they've been sequestered and nobody's been able to connect with them. And we need that to thrive. We need each other and we need to be around people. So I just love that you have this multi-generational living because that's so important.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of residents who either they live here, but then their parents move here because their kids and their grandkids are here, or vice versa, because we also sell 55 plus homes. Maybe the parents are here first and then their kids and their grandkids move into the community. So we have a lot of that going on as well.
So how many homes are actually in Rancho Mission Viejo?
When it's fully built out, which should be sometime in the 2030s range, Rancho Mission Viejo will have approximately 14,000 homes.
Wow.
6,000 of those will be 55 plus deed restricted homes. So we're really embracing that intergenerational lifestyle. We're carrying it forward into our future villages. And at completion, the villages on the ranch will occupy approximately 6,000 acres in total. But we're also entitled for up to 5 million square feet of non-residential uses, and that can be office parks, retail, schools, civic uses, churches, etc. So we also have that as part of our entitlement. So we build communities. So when we, it's not just a collection of homes, we build everything, the whole infrastructure.
Yeah, and you're designing it from the very beginning in the planning stages to ensure that it's all interconnected and everything's together so that programming and everything that you have is kind of weaved into the fabric of the community. Absolutely. I mean, I guess that's probably the difference between just another master planned community.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And that's really what makes us, we believe, a wellness community. I don't know if you'd like us maybe to share maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, please.
Wellness, we've talked about, it's always been a priority for us at the ranch. And first and foremost, we think about the thoughtful approach to planning, and I think Kristen will get into that maybe in a little bit, but we carefully consider the foundational elements for the long-term sustainability that's going to endure for generations. So before we are grading or putting homes on the ground, we're in the planning stages of what is the governance going to be for this community? How is there going to be a succession plan from developer to residents? What's the organizational structure? And what are the organizations that are going to inhabit this place? We have our HOA, our Homeowners Association. We have our Community Services Organization. We have our Transportation Management Association, the Nature Reserve. So how do these organizations relate to one another? And then the financial modeling. How do we pay for this? What's the long-term sustainable funding mechanism that's going to endure for the life of the community? So that's those bones, when you start to build, we lay that foundation, and then the components of wellness start to layer on. And some of those components I could just speak to quickly is the social connections. And as Chris mentioned, it's the 55 plus and all age offerings of year-round programming, fitness, resident-led clubs, traditional events that occur on an annual basis. And we even bring residents together before they move in, where they connect and they can get to know each other before they actually move into their home. We also support healthy living through our unique farm program. And I don't know if you know about that, but that really adds a connection to the land and to one another. And we believe that when we grow food, we grow community. So what we did in the planning, we actually, instead of taking like a plot of land where a resident can just take like a 4x8 piece of ground, we took an actual communal farm approach where the residents can come together and they work the land together with an expert farm team that we've actually hired and put into that financial model. So they can make sure that we get the production from the farm, but also engage in the volunteer program and bring the volunteers together, educate them, and then they get all this extra, produce, they get their potlucks together. They come together. We have probably over 100 households that participate each growing season. And then we get to see the kids that get to learn about food, where it comes from, about composting. I saw a 2-year-old actually eat a carrot for the first time. And the mom just went like crazy. She's like on social media. She's calling the dad, he ate a carrot, it was totally awesome. So those are some of the unique factors.
I love that. And that's what's missing in these other master planned communities. You think that you want to live in suburbia because you don't want to be too far away from the city and all the amenities. You don't really want to live on a rural farm, but you love the idea of planting a garden. And how can you have everything? It sounds like with these wellness features, you kind of have the best of all the worlds.
We really do.
That's incredible. So do you have like a CSA program with the farm, or is it just how does the farming component?
Yeah, currently it's a small CSA. We used to have a farm stand and we would just sell through the farm stand. We now do a few CSA baskets. What is very unique, and we've looked at a lot of other programs around the nation, we don't have a huge farm. It's probably a total of 1.5 acres. For us, it's really about programming first, teaching healthy eating, allowing children to learn where food comes from, bringing residents together versus production at this point. So that was really the goal. And what we have found is residents really love coming together to learn those things. And it really brings the community together. It's just an aspect where some people may say, I may never be a volunteer at the farm, but one, I either like looking at it, I like walking through it, I like bringing my grandchildren to it, or I like coming for our harvest pumpkin patch where we lay pumpkins, in the field. It's just that they just have this connection to the land in some way, whether they're tilling it or whether they're not, or they're eating the fruit from it, or whether they're just looking at it and smelling the rosemary and the basil that's grown there.
It is. But it is a connection to nature in so many ways. And then, like you said, there's a social component, bringing families together. I love it.
And we are looking at expanding our farms. Right now, we're looking at a 10-acre site. We're not sure. We have a lot of land, but we're not quite sure where we can put it because there is some challenges with getting the services to it. So we're currently working on that as we speak.
Yeah, but everybody loves that whole farm to table movement that's happening, right? Just understanding where food is coming from, and then having better restaurants that are getting fresh local produce and things too. So it sounds like you have some retail there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It can be a little bit of a challenge. Retailers need rooftops to show up. So for our last village of Ascensia, we finally got a retail center open, but it does take some time. But we've built probably 3 or 4 shopping centers over the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So what kind of businesses are in they're little villages that are for the community?
Those come slowly, but right now in Ascensia, we have self-storage that's gone in. There's some office space that's gone in. We have some apartment homes that'll be opening soon. And then we're just getting ready to start looking at the retail part of that center. So it comes over time, and it's a timing thing to get the proper rooftops to support it.
Right. So many neighborhoods, it just seems like they might put in sidewalks, so they might put in a trail, but there's no place to walk to. You're just kind of walking around in
Right.
circles. So tell me more about your trail system and where people can walk to in your community.
Sure. Yeah. So our access to the great outdoors is kind of a couple ways. One is through the nature reserve, which is at 17,000 acres, and it's a growing habitat conservation. So it's about 6,000 acres now. Will grow actually to over 21,000 acres. But it has diverse interpretive and recreational programs. They have trail hikes. They have docent-led adventures. They have astronomy night. They have a knee-high naturalist program for the little ones. And they have a public school program that we bring about 4,000 students out onto the reserve annually. So that is a component of getting out to the great outdoors. We have access to our trail system. There's a couple things. We have pathways and bikeways that extend from our community to our beautiful Southern California beaches, which is awesome. We're about 5 miles away from one of the beaches. And we have miles of hiking trails that actually extend into the adjacent regional parks. And then we also have an overlay of a network of pathways that were designed for low-speed electric vehicles. And those are Department of Motor Vehicles approved golf carts, basically.
Yeah.
And so we have these pathways that will connect these non-contiguous villages. So you can go from one village to the next. So kind of all of this is kind of those key components that provide the holistic approach to wellness at Rancho Mission.
Instead of just, I mean, I've heard some people think that they just put in a community center and a pool and then it's wellness community. And there's so much more that goes into the planning and the development of it. That's pretty
Definitely. And we build at such a scale that we have the ability to put in a large infrastructure base. You know, the communities that are 100 homes or so, you know, they have limited resources. So, you know, it's all about, you know, scale and what you can do, you know, what is the best footprint you can put on the ground for the scale that you build at.
I'm interested too in just, since you guys have been around for so long, what is resale like in your community versus just neighboring communities that aren't part, or are your amenities available to people that don't live in Rancho Mission Viejo?
They can go as a guest with someone who is a resident of the community. But it's interesting, about 3 years ago, we were wondering, because, you know, quite frankly, it's expensive to build clubhouses and pools and parks. And, you know, at some point you do want to sort of check the box that says, yeah, this is getting us some retail lift. So we actually had one of our market analysts go out into the market, and he surveyed our home sale prices versus under amenitized communities or unamenitized communities. And it showed that our homes in Rancho Mission Viejo sell at about a 2 to 3% higher price point. So there is some value for the residents for that. And also for our neighborhood builders, because we do all the infrastructure and all the hard scale programming and all the retail, et cetera. But we sell land to neighborhood builders and they build the homes. And so they need to see the value here too. And by the amenity program that we put on the ground, it has the ability to increase their absorption, how quickly they sell their homes, which will then reduce their land carry costs, et cetera. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, do you notice that the builders themselves are starting to add more sustainable features or energy efficient features into their home, the homes that they're building?
The builders are, we don't dictate what they do, but here in the state of California, we have very strict building codes. And so in order to build a home, it costs more and more every year. Right now, the codes dictate what the building envelope should be, which, you know, helps control solar gain and heat loss. All low flow plumbing features are required to reduce the water use. So they have gotten a little bit more into thinking about what a wellness home might mean, but we don't get into their business. You know, we build the community and we sell them the land, and then we can control what we do at the amenities, however, and of course those same strict building codes apply to us. And we also provide NEV parking spaces at the clubs, so that will reduce the carbon footprint of our residents driving around. And we even have charging stations or outlets so they can plug in when they're at the club. In terms of our landscape, because of course we put lots of landscape on the ground in terms of parkways and parks, we do use drought tolerant plants. And we also have a very sophisticated watering system where it's computerized and there's sensors all over the place, and they sense whether an area is overwater or underwater, and it shuts the sprinklers off or turns them on as needed. So again, that conserves water. And all of our open space, all our parks, it's all recycled water. So that's a huge savings.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And probably just like you said, having that much open space is probably unique to a master plan community, because they probably just want to shove as many homes in there as possible. So,
well, and us, we're hillside development. We're not flat land. And so because it's hillside development, it really gives you the opportunity. You know, there's large green slopes between neighborhoods because there has to be. And it's a really great way to carve in little parks here and there because of the hillside nature of our land.
yeah, and it gives people a place to walk to and run to. And what about animal trails or dog parks or anything like that? Do you have?
Oh, we love dog parks. We've built a number of them. The last one we built, I really liked the best because it's called South Paw Dog Park. And we put in dog washing stations. So there's one room that is for big dogs to get a bath, and then there's another room for small dogs to get a bath at. And it's been very popular.
Yeah, I love that. I have a big dog and a small dog, and I can usually wash the small dog fine, but the big dog never gets a bath.
And we do have a Halloween party going on there in the month of October at the South Paw.
Oh, how fun. That's awesome. What do you think if you were to ask some residents, what would be the, thing that they would say that they love most about living in Rancho Mission Viejo?
I love that question because I always say you cannot write the script better than how a resident describes what they love about the ranch. And maybe to share with you a little bit, we want to listen to our residents. We want to hear what they have to say. So what we did is we instituted a biannual survey that we do. And we launched our first one in 2015, 2 years after the project actually opened in 2013. So we completed our fourth survey this year. And 83% of the respondents indicated that Rancho Mission Viejo supported their well-being. And 96% found that the leading characteristic of the ranch was the serenity and beauty and the open space and closeness to nature, which was pretty amazing and astounding. And I don't know if I can share it if I have time, Sheila. I have 2 quotes that I would love to share with you, because this is where, and I love when we have a great marketing department, but we can't write this stuff. So one gal said, needing a break from the stay-at-home order, I ventured out solo for a walk. I took the time to pay attention to the gifts that the great outdoors had to offer me and smiled as I realized that Mother Nature is never on lockdown. This is just a small sampling of the beauty that Rancho Mission Viejo gives us. We couldn't ask for a better place to be, especially now. And then another resident shared her perspective of our 12-acre preserved Oak Canyon, which has some really cool little internal walking paths, and it's right in the heart of one of our villages. And she said, enchanting doesn't even begin to cover it. After a heavy rain, Oak Canyon at Rancho Mission Viejo becomes a gateway to Narnia. The short hike is utterly spellbinding, yet at the very heart of Esencia, Rancho Mission Viejo sets the gold standard for the new ruralism movement in America.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I mean, this is what they say. This is on Instagram. These are on some social posts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is what they say. And we just, you just kind of tear up.
I do.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show when your mission is more than just making money and packing in the most houses, when you actually have a plan and your vision and your goal and your values are, put out there to enhance the well-being of the residents. I mean, that's what they're feeling from you. That's wonderful.
And let's be reminded, we are a developer, so the cost has to lay out. You have to be able to develop. Yeah. So we do. We're not saying that our homes aren't. We have some tight homes, and there's tight product. Mm-hmm. But what happens is, because of the non-contiguous, and you've got all the open space, when you take a walk along, let's say, one of our roads, and you're along orchard paths, you might be adjacent to our Rancho Mission Viejo orchards. We put in orchards on one of our key streetscapes with lemons, avocados, tangerines, oranges. So your homes might feel a little more tight, but when you walk outside your neighborhood and go out, you see the sky and the beauty, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
to walk from point A to point B, you get a breath of fresh air every time.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I mean, I've lived on golf course communities before, and we loved it just because we wanted to be still part of a community, but not have a house directly behind us. We wanted to have the golf course that someone else pays for to mow that grass and, and everything. So I can see how you don't necessarily need acres and acres of your own land. You just need to have a sense of community and have green space around you.
We created a really interesting amenity in Essentia. We had a phase of Essentia where we built a higher density than we normally do. And of course, what that means is a lot of the homes either got a small deck or a very small backyard. So we knew that we needed to create a place for them to connect and gather. And so we had a half-acre linear park that we put down that we called it the backyard because we felt that they don't have a backyard. So we're going to create their backyard for them. And so we have all these seating pods everywhere, different types of seating. There's hammocks, there's fire pits, there's hanging chairs, and it strings all out along this linear park. And there's even a large playground for kids. So those are the types of things we really think about. What do we need to provide? What's going to work? What's needed? What do the residents really want? And we put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, and it brings people together because really, do we all need to really have our own castle with a moat around it and we never go out and never talk to anybody because everything's at our house? That's not very healthy either.
Right.
And that's where we also build our social connections through our RanchLife programming, Sheila, because we want residents to know one another. One, because they also feel much safer when you know your neighbor. And then you provide that neighbor helping neighbors mantra, where they're there for somebody that might be in need. But it's a beautiful story that's weaved throughout the community from day one.
Yeah, and it's funny because people, when they're looking for a house, they want all the boxes checked, right? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and they want to just get that feeling when they walk into the house. But really, the things that make people want to stay in a community are the friends and the social aspect and of whether or not they love their home. Because you can build a home anywhere, but you can't really have community everywhere.
That's right.
True.
Yeah, so I love it. I love hearing all about your neighborhood, about Rancho Mission Viejo. Is there anything that we missed?
We are getting ready to open our next village called Rienda. We'll open it in March of 22. We surprisingly sold out of our last village much more quickly than we expected. And it was largely due to the pandemic. And we had unbelievable response to our community. We sold out 8 months sooner than we were expecting because of people searching for values that were here at Rancho Mission Viejo. So it was quite a surprise to us. So we've been out of homes for about 6 months now. It will be about 10 months by the time we open. But that's a community that's going to focus more on attainability. The first phase, we really tried to design homes that were an alternative to renting. And what that means is, and this is a component to financial wellness, it's the way we approached it, is, we wanted to put homes on the ground that for their mortgage payment, their HOA dues, and their property taxes, it was going to be less than the amount of rent they're paying. So that community opens in March, and we have an amazing amenity going in there called Ranch Camp. It's the biggest amenity we've ever built. It has a 20,000 square foot lagoon. It has an open air gym, which is really, we built an open air gym before at another facility, and it is by far the most popular gym that we've built. And the reason is because one whole side of the building is open to the outdoors. And in Southern California, you can take advantage of the great weather that we have. Yeah. And so there's just fresh air all the time. So we're recreating that gym at Ranch Camp. We'll have a lap pool, a spa. There's a water play area for the kids. And we're really using this site to help market to prospects too, so they can really get a sense of what the lifestyle is at Rancho Mission Viejo. So it's going to be a very unique amenity.
And what's the price point that those homes will be at when you open?
Well, we don't set the prices. We do go through an exercise where we decide what the product should be that the builders are going to build. Because we want to make sure that we have the proper segmentation, because we want to have homes for everyone. We want to have homes for the person who's a first-time buyer to someone who maybe is a move-up buyer. So we do the segmentation, and then they design the homes. Our hope is that the pricing was going to be somewhere south of $500,000 to start with, which is big. That's huge for Southern California.
That's huge for Southern California.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm anxious to see what the builders put out there when it's time.
What are typical HOA dues for some of your neighborhoods?
So typically our base, I'm just going to say, is going to hover around $200 per month. And then you've got some special benefit areas and slopes, and there might be gates, things like that that kind of add up to it. So our 55 plus are usually about probably $350 per month, a little higher. And then our all age amenities, or all age HOA is about $220 to $250.
And that gives you access to
Everything.
Yes.
The 55 plus residents, they have access to everything, which is why their HOA dues are a little bit higher. The thought being that if they have grandkids visiting them, they can take them to one of the all age pools or the all age facilities and use those, and so they can be with their grandkids. So the all age do not have access to the 55 plus. It doesn't work that way. But we have a lot on the ground, and you can go from village to village and swim in every single pool or go to every single gym or every single clubhouse.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so awesome. Well, so where do people go if they want to learn more about Rancho Mission Viejo?
The website.
RanchoMissionViejo.com, and we have our Rancho Mission Viejo TV. We've got some videos that you can learn a lot about
on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube, Rancho Mission Viejo TV.
It's such an inspiration too, because I've talked with a lot of neighborhoods and many of them are quite small, and so just to see that at scale, this community is a wellness community, and it's this large, and the amount of thought you guys put into the development of it is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can see it just from the testimonials you're getting. That's wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheila.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it inspires you to learn more about wellness real estate development and what is happening throughout the country. In fact, if you know any real estate developers, please share this podcast with them, because the more forward-thinking development that happens in our country, the better our country will be, and you will be helping to enrich the lives of others. But what about existing homes? How do existing homes fit into wellness real estate? Well, it is my opinion that real estate agents have a unique opportunity to help educate our clients and our audience. We are in homes, after all the time, and we advise clients on all sorts of things. And so we can help them learn how to create a healthier home environment. We can connect them to our network of green professionals so that they can save money, live more comfortably and joyfully, and so that they can understand that you are a professional that understands what is important to them. So be sure to stay tuned. Next week, I have Michelle Ifferson from Designwell Studios on the show, and she will be talking about environmental wellness and what that means in the built environment, specifically preventative measures that we can take to maintain a healthy home. She has some great tips to share about home maintenance and which ones are so important to having a healthy home. So she has had some clients with sick building syndrome, so it's no joke. So be sure to catch us next week. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.